Okay, logic. So, uh, all mathematical proofs and arguments are based on statements which are declarative statements. So, meaningful strings of symbols can be classified as being true or false. So we are trying to look at what is the logic of maths when we are saying that uh, uh, let's say true, we are talking about true or false. So a lot of things are vague in general English language, so we do not want any vagueness when we are talking in maths. So whatever statement I am making, somebody who is reading it in, let's say, UK or Japan, he should be able to understand what I'm talking about. There should be no scope of confusion. So that's why we need a language which is very clear, declarative. So it is not necessary that we know whether a given statement is actually true or false, but it must be one or the other. It cannot be both. So a statement could either be true or it could be false. We do not know, but one of these has to be true. For example, so in maths things are not subjective. Okay, so for example, the sentence chickens are pretty is a matter of opinion and not a statement in the sense of logic. So logical things are things which can be looked upon as being right or wrong, or just true or false. But a lot of things are up for opinion. For example, do you like someone or not? So if you like Narendra Modi, or if you like tea or coffee, so these are all subjective things. They are up for opinion. But we do not want things in maths to be up for opinion. So that's why we come in the domain of logic. So some statements such as 1 plus 1 equals to 2, these are always true. So they are called tautologies. So tautologies are things which are obviously true, and there's going to be no uh, uh, question about if somebody does not believe in it. Okay, so these are obviously true. Now some statements are always false or obviously false. These are called contradictions or falsities. For example, 2 equals to 3. So nobody is going to contest if you say that 2 equals to 3 is false. Now some statements that x square equals to 1 are sometimes true and sometimes false. So when x is taking a value 1, it is true. When x takes a value 3, it is false. Okay, so it depends on the value of x. So these are neither tautologies nor contradictions. So some things are tautologies which do not depend on the value of x. Some things are contradictions which again do not depend on the value of x. But some things they will depend on the value of x. For example, x square equals to 1. If I tell you that x square equals to minus 1, now is this so this is obviously a contradiction. So if you are talking about real numbers, x square cannot be negative. Okay, if you are going into the domain of imaginary numbers, then you can argue that x could be iota. But for us as economists, imaginary numbers do not exist. We will always strictly remain in the domain of real numbers. So in real numbers, there is no x which can satisfy x square equals to minus 1. So this is a falsity, or this is a contradiction irrespective of the value of x. Okay. Now logically equivalent. So we say that two statements P and Q are logically equivalent if P is true exactly when Q is true. So statement P could be that X is Jawaharlal Nehru. This is your statement P. And statement Q could be X is the first Prime Minister of India. So this is statement Q. Now these two statements are logically equivalent because the first Prime Minister is Jawaharlal Nehru and Jawaharlal Nehru is the first Prime Minister. So these two statements are logically equivalent. So you can have such statements in maths as well. For example, if you are talking about just real numbers, saying x square equals to sorry, x square equals to 2 is logically equivalent to x to power 4 equals to 4. So if any number satisfies x square equals to 2, it should satisfy x to power 4 equals to 4. If any number satisfies x to power 4 equals to 4, it should satisfy x square equals to 2. Basically, there are two numbers which satisfy both this condition, that is x equals to plus minus root 2. Okay. So these are the only two numbers which satisfy both the equations. So both these equations individually are logically equivalent. So that's what we mean by logical equivalence. So proving this is same as proving this. So when you have logically equivalent statements P and Q, if I ask you to prove, suppose I ask you to prove P, you first of all prove that P is equivalent to Q, and then you prove Q. So first of all, establishing that P and Q are logically equivalent and then proving that Q is true automatically means that P has been proven to be true. Right. Then negations. So negations is when a statement is not true. So if P is a statement, then its negation is a statement denoted by not of P, which is written as negation P. So this is how you write negation P. It is true when P is false and false when P is true. So negation P is true when P is false, and negation P is false when P is true. So that's how you use your negations. Now coming to conjunction and disjunction, so these are very important things. So if P and Q are statements, then their conjunction is the statement denoted by P and Q. Okay. So for example, your statement P is, suppose your statement P is Anita is a woman, and statement Q is Anita is a doctor. Okay. So what is the conjunction? So conjunction is basically P and Q, which is basically saying that Anita is a doctor and a woman. Okay. So when two statements are simultaneously true, you call it a conjunction. Okay. So it is represented by P and Q. Then you have disjunctions. So disjunctions are denoted by P or Q, and we say that P or Q is true when at least one of P and Q is true. Okay. So the disjunction is going to be P or Q, which basically means Anita is a doctor or a woman. Okay. So you are going to say P and Q if Anita is both a doctor and a woman. So we say, when if Anita is a female doctor, then we say P and Q is true. If Anita is either a female or a doctor, then we say P or Q is true. So these things are very well represented in Venn diagrams. So if you say that this box represents the set of all the people in the world, this is the set of all the females in the world. Okay, so this is the set of all the females, and this is the set of all the doctors in the world. So Anita lies somewhere here. So if Anita lies somewhere here, then we say that P and Q is true. Okay. If Anita lies somewhere here, that is, she is a female but not a doctor, then we say that this is false but this is true. Okay. Now if Anita lies somewhere here, suppose Anita is not a female, she is a he. Okay, so Anita is a female and a male and not a doctor, then neither of these statements are going to be true. Okay, so it really depends on what you are looking for. If you are looking for both the conditions to be true simultaneously, or you are okay with any of the two conditions simultaneously. Okay, so for example, when we are talking about coronavirus, let's say, so we are talking about comorbidities. So we say people have comorbidities if they have any of the underlying conditions. So if they are, so we classify comorbidities as either diabetes or asthma or blood pressure problem, hypertension, or maybe some other condition like cancer. So these are people who have comorbidities. And then there is age. So age is people who are, let's say, 60 plus. So if you belong to either of these categories, then you belong to the risky category. Okay, and if you belong to both these categories, that is, if you have comorbidities and plus you are 60 plus, then you are definitely very risky category. So you can classify three categories here. So you can classify people as low risk, medium risk and high risk. Okay, so high risk is negation of comorbidities or age. So you are neither, you have neither comorbidities nor you have an age problem. uh, you are medium risk if you have comorbidities or you have an age problem, and you are high risk if you have comorbidities and you have an age problem. Okay, so this is how governments mostly are trying to classify the risk of different agents. So low risk agents are those who have neither comorbidities nor they have their age in 60 plus. So if you draw the Venn diagram, so these are the people who have comorbidities and these are the people who have 60 plus age. Okay, so people who lie here in the intersection, these are the high risk people. People who have just comorbidities or people who just have an age 60 plus, they are medium risk people, and everybody else is low risk. Okay, so all the people outside are going to be low risk. So this is medium risk and this is high risk. So you can make an algorithm. Suppose you are running a insurance company and you want to find how much premium to ask of a person to get corona insurance. So you can ask, suppose you have all the details about the person. Okay, so you can check if this person belongs to high risk. So you can just type in the code, if comorbidities and age, then pay us a premium of let's say 1500. If comorbidities or age, then pay us a premium of $1000. If neither, then you pay us a premium of $500. So that's how logic works. Okay.